Welcome everyone to the PPC radio show. Very excited today to have, of course, ShellyShell Williams is with us again today. DJ Kid Disco is in the black. He's hiding out today, but he is with us. And we have our special guest, Mr. Donald Barge. Very excited, friend of mine, but very talented man, and I can't wait to get into his story. But before we do, you know what we have to do. We have to pay those bills. So we're going to go to commercials and we'll see you right after.
WGFB-FM radio. So are you ready? How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365. After these messages, we'll be right back.
The COVID.
Cynda Williams here, and welcome to the Grown Folks Radio World. Wednesday afternoons from 2 to 4 Eastern, I host the PPC radio show with ShellyShell Williams.
Hey everybody, it's Shell Williams, Philly's Oprah.
I don't want to cut her off.
Fridays at noon Eastern, I present the PPC podcast. It drops on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and many more. Please join me for real talk, great guests, lots of laughs, and powerful, precious conversations that can fill your self-help treasure chest with gems.
Listen, you only think you know Cynda Williams, co-host of the PPC radio show and the Melanated Morning Show. You've seen her in films with some of the GOATs. You may have even heard her sing her way to the top. You don't have to judge the book by its cover. You can get the book and read it cover to cover. I'm talking about Pink Panty Confessions by Cynda Williams, available in paperback and digital format in all good bookstores. I would probably look in Amazon.
Pink Panty Confessions, the book.
The COVID-19 vaccines can be our chance to get back to our plans, who we are, what we miss, to get back to each other, to life. But it's okay to have questions, like, how were the vaccines tested? In rigorous clinical trials among adults of diverse backgrounds. Can the vaccines give you COVID-19? You cannot get COVID-19 from a vaccine. Why should I get vaccinated? Protecting yourself also helps protect the people around you. Find the latest information at getvaccineanswers.org.
Hey everybody, it is ShellyShell Williams.
Hi, this is Cynda Williams, and I am so blessed to tell you about a new book on survival called Faith, Failure, Success, Volume 2, Surviving the Storm. Erica Summers, Martha Chavez, Latricia Rice, Nicole Reed, Vanya Hudson, and I have come together to share our deepest challenges and how we overcame. Please check it out on Amazon.com and wherever books are sold.
Amazon is hiring.
WGFB-FM radio.
So are you ready?
How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365.
PPC, 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 yeah. PPC, 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 yeah. Join me so we can grow together. Conversation, get that healing. Let them know what they're missing. Share with your best friend. Tell them come hear this, yeah. Don't you dare miss your blessings. Powerful lessons, true confessions, yeah. PPC, yeah. A powerful tool for you, and me. PPC, yeah. A powerful tool for you and me. PPC, yeah.
Welcome back to the PPC radio show, everyone. Hi, Vaughn. Hi, Malik Jenkins. Hi, James. Paula, what's up, everybody? How you guys doing today? We are here. What's the weather like in Chicago, Donald Barge? What's it like?
I think it's about 65 degrees. The last 2 days, the last 2 days have been spring.
All right, good for you.
And I'm looking forward to go to summer.
How about you, Shelly? How's it?
It's about 75 degrees yesterday. Yes, supposed to be a nice day today. Going to get out and take a walk.
Oh, nice. Finally, spring has come to the Midwest and East. It's actually cooler here, Shelly, than it is there. We're at a 65 today. So anyway, I'm glad the weather has started looking like spring for you guys.
Can I just say something?
Sure.
What you gonna say? Something?
You know how I knew it was warm outside?
How?
Why do people, especially our people, why they having to cook out on the pavement right now? They've been out all night long.
Ain't nothing wrong with it. Go get you a hot dog. Go get you a hot dog.
Where is this happening at?
In Philadelphia.
Oh my goodness.
You know what? They're barbecuing here too. It's constant.
No, they set up a whole tent in the whole, like it's a cookout. It's Wednesday.
So what?
Don't you people have jobs?
You gotta eat every day. Maybe they have a home job. Don't hate on them.
And why they been up all night though?
Because they hungry. They having
the
a
smell
party.
of food keeps me awake too. It really
No,
does.
they've been out there and partying since about yesterday afternoon.
They're happy because the weather broke. They're looking forward to summer.
Yeah, I think that's it.
They want to be friendly in Philly. That's all.
Nice. So Vaughn is upstate New York. What's it like there? James says it's 70 there in New Jersey. So I'm just happy that spring is finally breaking through. Although I heard there's a lot of storms happening this week, so we should pray for everyone in the path of any kind of snowstorms in the Dakotas, blizzards. They're talking about 3 feet, and tornadoes in Tornado Alley. So we'll be saying some prayers for everybody's safety. So okay. Before we really get into your life, we do something here on the PPC radio show. Thank you to ShellyShell Williams, and I hope you're open to it. Shelly, go for it.
Are you open for it? I want to see a smile on your face, Mr. Donald. There, listen,
Okay.
You gotta be ready. If you listen to the jingle, it says true confession. So it's true. No, don't be scared. It's true confession time.
Okay.
So you give us.
I didn't do it. Okay, go ahead.
You got to tell us what you did, and then we have to follow suit. So what's your true confession?
Well, that's gonna take a long time.
Just pick one.
Right. Let me put it this way. Christ.
Right.
People say that they confess Christ. Does that mean something to you? I got you, didn't I?
Okay, sneaky. So I guess that's the best we're gonna get from you.
My mind wanders all over the place, only to come back to I don't know.
Okay.
What do I need to confess about?
It doesn't have to be serious.
That one day you went into the penny candy store and stole the penny candy. That's a joke. But that one day you were supposed to be singing and you just weren't singing.
Okay. One day I was actually chosen with my cousin and a gentleman that used to sing in my group. And it was there's an organization here called the Joy Chorus. It happened back in the late 80s and early 90s, Joy Music. And what they did, the company was downtown and they produced many bands and vocals for traveling artists who didn't want to bring their bands and their background singers. And I got chosen to sing with a choral group of 8 people, and I had a conflict that night. I had a wedding to shoot, and it messed me up. I really wanted to be there, but Mr. McDonald was paying, I say this, he was paying $1,500 I'm sorry, Michael Bolton. You hear my wife just correct me. It was the same background with Michael Bolton. And I didn't have a choice because I couldn't get a photographer to cover the other event, which was bigger. But I regret that because of what I could have been exposed to. And also I would have had some pictures and video and proof of something that I did. And I really missed that. That was back in 1993, I think it was. That's a confession.
That is a good confession, because I don't know what I would have done. I probably would have done the
Well, just think, how could you leave a bride and a groom? This is the most important day of their life. There's no way in the world ethics and morality will not let me rest on doing something that I was only going to do one time. My reputation is here in Chicago. They don't really know me out there where he is. So it works.
That makes
but
sense.
If I could go back today, I'd try to teleport myself. I don't know. That's not
You be like, listen.
Too, right?
No, you would have had a backup. You'd have had a backup photographer. Listen, you stay here through this time. I'm gonna show you everything to do. Just go to the left, go to the right, take it from the front.
Everybody.
And the most important part is get the kiss. Get the kiss.
Yeah. What about you, Shelly? Do you have anything like along those lines that you had to decide between the two?
I don't know. I can't think. I think every day I decide between. Lately, I had to decide between building my brand and doing the things that make money. Like you have to have clients, they make money, but it takes up so much of your time. So I decided, get the clients. I'm going to start building me, and then it backfired on me. And one of the clients said, "I'm so disappointed in you," and it has broken my heart every day. My heart is broken because I don't like disappointing anybody. But I wanted to do for me. I wanted to build, because at the end of the day, the client can go. But if I build what I need to do up, then I'll have residual money. But I don't. He said, the word came. He sent the email. I am disappointed. And I swear, I felt like a So yeah, I guess that's my own thing. So now I have to figure out how to organize or do it all somehow.
Yeah, it's funny because I was just talking to my cousin about that. She came on the show, Diane, and she's being overwhelmed right now with working for so many clients. She's constantly working for her clients. And so all of her things have been put on the back burner. And she's going through the same thing right now, making that decision. What do I do? And honestly, that's a decision that I'm always faced with, because honestly, I have no desire to do anything but what I do. I love acting, singing, writing, hosting, anything like that. But I'm getting to the point where there are certain things that I need really badly. And I'm like, am I going to have to just start doing something else? Because there are certain things I need, and then I'm like, well, but I'm like the age that I am, I already took a break, So, those decisions are very difficult, but I think either way you go, you just got to be comfortable with the choice that you made at the time, because that's all, you can't go back. Once you make those decisions, you can't go back, and if you decided, Shelly, to do this for yourself and someone was disappointed, you just got to say, I'm sorry, but God bless you, but I had to do what I had to do. I'm sorry for your disappointment. But honestly, their disappointment is on them, I mean,
I don't know. I can't handle disappointment. Unless I must need a therapist, because at this particular point, I can't handle it. So I said, forget my stuff. I've been working on that stuff all morning. That's all I concentrated on. That's I want to do right now, because I want to.
Can I say this? Can I say this about disappointment? Because all of us live lives where disappointment has to be relevant. The way that I deal with disappointment is by reappointment. See, a lot of times if you're stuck in a situation where it's someone else's energy and their mindset that they remain in because they refuse to move forward. I was just thinking about the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, and how it took expertise, it took labor, It took bravery. It took a lot to build that bridge. I didn't go across that bridge for about 15 years. And a couple of years when I went across that bridge, I used to live there. It just totally amazed me. And a man told me this. He says, Don, you couldn't imagine how many people became disabled and died building that bridge. So, if you keep looking in the rearview mirror, you're going to have an accident. So I have to look at it like this. I reappoint. The person has to adjust. Everybody adjusts at some point because that's what life and living is about. It's about adjustments. Mm-hmm. So I'm adjusting to my own disappointment that I disappointed myself on. Mm-hmm. I got to live with me. No one else does. So if I can handle me in the world, then it's easier for other people to get a better grip on me.
Yeah, for me, for the longest time, I was constantly available to anyone and everyone at all times. I would drop everything. That didn't matter what I was doing, how I was doing it. I would drop my life, whatever I was doing, to run and do whatever they needed me to do. And so when you open yourself out for that, people take it for granted, and that becomes your role for them to always drop everything. And right. I was burnt out. I was tired. I was exhausted. I was starting to have an attitude about it until I finally said, it's nobody's fault but mine, because I allowed this to happen. So I created business hours for myself. Unless you are a very special, close person to me, like my daughter, my parents, whatever. I love you, but I ain't answering the phone after a certain hour. I don't look at my emails after a certain hour. I'm not looking at my texts. And even if I do, I'm not going to answer it until my hours.
There you go.
The hours that I work are from here to here. And that's it. Now, no emergencies happen, things happen. And then that's a decision that I have to make. Is it a real? Because, there are people in your life that will be constantly having emergencies. They're always urgent. Everything has to happen now because that's what they want.
You know what's interesting about this whole conversation? I'm sorry.
What?
Shelly.
Yes, sir.
Shelly is my mentor, officially and unofficially. And Shelly and I had this exact same conversation pertaining to me. The interesting part, or I won't say hypocrisy, but the ironic part of this whole conversation, Shelly has the answers because she gave them to me. Remember what you said to me, Shelly?
You could tell me. Maybe I need a reminder.
Sometimes, okay, I'll just break it down. Sometimes you just got to do what's best for you. And those who can't understand, it's not really for them to understand.
That's true. But when it comes to money versus...
I understand that, but remember what you told me. Just do you. And everything else will fall into place. Remember that long...
I do. I remember that whole conversation. It was good advice for you, and I'm listening.
Yeah, it's just, you got to follow your spirit, and not your mind and not your worry. You got to follow your spirit, and you did, and I can applaud you for that. I think we should get into you, Donald, before we have a commercial, because you have a awesome story. So some people that listen to the podcast do not listen to the radio show and vice versa. So can you tell us about yourself, where you're from, your beginnings?
I was born in St. Louis, Missouri. And before, actually, my mom and dad, at that time, I was the last child born of 6. My mom got pregnant. She was told by her doctor that she would never be able to get pregnant again. So that was a shock to both my parents. But because she got pregnant and because of her medical condition, the doctor required my mom to live in St. Louis until I was at least 1 year old. My dad was a minister, preacher, evangelist, and he had accepted a church to pastor in Jamestown, New York. And he was supposed to be gone right after she got pregnant. And so we wound up having to stay in St. Louis, and he made frequent trips there to set everything up. And when I was 1 year old, we moved to Jamestown, New York. We stayed there My father built the church, and 5 years later, we wound up moving to Evanston, a little suburb of Chicago, and he took a job at this church in Evanston, and we stayed there until 1968. We moved to California. He took a legendary church, which was the church that was pastored by Reverend Elton and Sister Sarah Pointer, the Pointer sisters' parents. And that was in 1968, approximately 9 months before they stepped out on I Know We Can Make It, Yes We Can, and then they blew up in all over the world. So I only got like a short window of opportunity to hear them, see them in church, because they had another plan and they were gone.
Did you say you get to see them, but did you get a chance to hang out with them, become friends with them, or were they just on the choir?
In the choir, yeah, it's just like singing in the choir, and that was it. You know, it's like family, all our families. My family was singing in the choir, my sisters, they were singing in the choir, but they were also an R&B group, and they were singing in clubs and going around and, you know, making themselves known, and they were in the studio. So when I got there, it was like the deep summer of 68. And then by the spring, which is a very short period of time, by the spring, April, they hit it and didn't quit it. And then church became a reflection of their past. So they had good things to say about the church. They had some bad things to say about the church. And if you remember some of the interviews, when they came on and were interviewed on TV, they didn't make it a rosy, wonderful picture. They dealt with the reality that they experienced out of their own lives. So
speaking of that, you are a preacher's kid, and so you're upfront and personal. Were upfront and personal with the goings-ons of a church, and you're a very committed spiritual Christian, and so have you found yourself experiencing the same kind of things as them, or did you have a pretty generally positive experience?
I've had a positive and negative experience. And if I would say that it was all positive, it couldn't be alive, because it takes a negative force and a positive force to create life and to sustain it. I found that out when my battery went dead in my car one time, when I first got a car. I said, why are you putting that negative thing on my positive? You know, because if I don't do that, it won't start. That's why. Why do you have to rub two sticks together and make friction to get fire? So I learned, what I tried to do is take what I learned from both sides and do the thing that makes the most sense. If you say you're a believer, it's only proven by what you do in your life. Just like there was a guy in Chicago, I think this was maybe 25 years ago, that it was like around after the time when the song I Believe I Can Fly came out. And it was a white guy that believed he could fly. So he went in the Sears Tower, 100 floors. He went all the way up to the top, and he stood there, and the fire trucks, the ambulances, the police department, people gathered around. Oh my God, no, he's not going to jump. And I only lived like 3 blocks from there. He jumped. He believed that he could fly, and he did. He flew straight to the ground. So sometimes our beliefs, we take our beliefs as truth. Just because you believe something, it doesn't mean it's the truth. Well, they can say, I can liberate myself and say, well, it's my truth. Well, what's that? One person's truth may be another person's unreality. So how you know it's truth is when it works. If it works with you and without you, then you could deem it to be the truth. Otherwise, it could be my opinion. And that's the difference.
So
my experience.
When you say he flew to the ground, so in my head, as a person who knows that you can move a mountain, and it happened in the Bible days, so I'm thinking that God could have created a miracle at that particular point, and he could have flew and actually landed somewhere where it looked like he flew, and then God placed him in a place where he could be safe. Couldn't God do that?
He could, but see what God did, and sometimes people find this discomforting. God created laws. One of the laws that he created is the law of gravity. He never changed that law. So homeboy must have thought that maybe God would change the law, but he didn't.
Mm.
So they buried it, what was left.
Mm. Mm. That's true. You know,
I wouldn't want to be in those shoes.
mm-mm.
I'm a believer. I'm not going to jump. Trust me. Not from that one.
Yeah, you're right. There are laws. There are laws. I mean, there are like right now they're becoming cliche, like the law of attraction. That's a law. That's a law. You know, but people make it, oh, that's, you know, depending on your background, somebody might think that's of Satan or whatever, because it's not something they'd ever heard before.
Mm-hmm.
But a lot of people, you know, adhere to that law, and you can tell who adheres to that law and who, I think we all do. We all adhere to the law of attraction. We attract to us what we talk about, what we think about, and what we say. Mm-hmm. We attract that, and that's good or bad.
That's right. Do you all like to go on cruises across the waters?
I would love to. I never have. So
I never have either, but I want to.
Have you ever been in a small boat?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, on the ocean, the waters, there's the law of buoyancy. Mm-hmm. Now, water is good for us. It covers 3/4 of our civilization, and 1/4 is land. Mm-hmm. 3/4 of this earth is water, but yet we're not drowned out in civilization because of buoyancy. So a ship could not sail on water unless it had a law that protects it rather than to swallow it and drown it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
I respect God's law of nature, even, you know. So.
Yeah, knowing God's law is probably important, because I don't think that's something they talk about very often in anywhere. Or maybe they do. It's just this, all these different thoughts have to come together, because, you know, science teaches about certain kind of laws. In church, they teach about certain kind of laws. Yeah. Everybody has these, but there's a difference between rules and laws.
That's correct.
There's a difference.
Isn't it law versus faith? Because if we go back to, I'm still going to the miracles in the Bible, and the lady, she said, she touched the hem of, you know, Jesus's garment, and her issues, you know, went away. So isn't it like her faith did it? Like, so in the actuality, can miracles happen just like that? And I understand laws. Believe me, I wouldn't get out there. I would not. I'm not flying. I'm not going to get out there. But a small part of me thought that maybe that he can't fly, but something else can happen. God can do something else, or Jesus can do something else. Just like touch the hem of the garment, she's healed. There's no law to that. That was just faith.
Right. But God gave birds wings so that they can, as we determined, fly. He gave us arms. I haven't seen a human being fly with arms. So, you know, there's a law for every creature and every created thing that God created. There's a law. The law of the jungle. Okay, if you set me out in the sub-Saharan desert of Africa, there's no way in the world I'm going to take a stroll at nighttime. The lion is king out there. Okay, I'm not going to take a stroll out there because I would have to adhere to the law of the jungle, and I'm not a jungle bunny, so I'm stay here in Chicago.
You stay there in Chicago.
Yeah. There you go.
Also, the thing about the healings and the faith and all of that, if you remember, which I know you do because you know the Bible, many times Jesus told people he healed to not go back and tell anybody. Don't talk about this, right? Because I believe, this is what I believe. This is just my own thought. I believe that Jesus sees us at our very, 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 very best. You know, he saw people as they were supposed to be, not how life and their own thoughts made them. And so she had enough faith, you know, mustard seed, whatever, to receive that healing. But it's, if she had gone home and maybe told people, who knows if she would have maintained that healing, if she got out of that faith, you know what I'm saying? So that's a little bit different, because our bodies don't get sick and do the things that they do accidentally. that it's spirit and body and mind is all connected. And I believe that Jesus was extremely wise and knowing and, the Son. So he knew that because of her faith, that he saw her the best possible way she could be. And so she became it, and she believed him. And so,
And we have to recognize also that Jesus was a perfectly obedient servant to his Father. And in that obedience and in his love for humanity, that's what created the garment. It wasn't necessarily a robe or a cloth that he had on his body. His garment was the garment of praise, obedience, love, patience, kindness, humility, all of those attributes. And when the lady touched his garment, she was touching his spirit, because that's what we all have in common. Every human being has a spirit and energy that can be used in either direction, either for good or for bad.
And on that note, we're gonna go to commercials, because I have some folks are chiming in, and I would like to read what they have to say when we come back right after the break.
Thank you.
It's the PPC Radio Show, hosted by Cynda Williams, co-hosted by ShellyShell Williams. Music by DJ Kid Disco on the Grown Folks Radio. WGFB FM Radio.
So are you ready?
How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365.
After these messages, we'll be back.
Cynda Williams here, and welcome to the Grown Folks Radio World. Wednesday afternoons from 2 to 4 Eastern, I host the PPC Radio Show with ShellyShell Williams.
Hey everybody, it's Shell Williams, Philly's Oprah.
We got some important stuff to talk about.
Fridays at noon Eastern, I present the PPC Podcast. It drops on Spotify, Anchor, Apple Podcasts, iTunes, and many more. Please join me for real talk, great guests, lots of laughs, and powerful, precious conversations that can fill your self-help treasure chest with gems.
Listen, you only think you know Cynda Williams, co-host of the PPC Radio Show and the Melanated Morning Show. You've seen her in films with some of the GOATs. You may have even heard her sing her way to the top. You don't have to judge the book by its cover. You can get the book and read it cover to cover. I'm talking about Pink Panty Confessions by Cynda Williams, available in paperback and digital format in all good bookstores. I would probably look in Amazon.
Pink Panty Confessions, the book.
The COVID-19 vaccines can be our chance to get back to our plans, who we are, what we miss, to get back to each other, to life. But it's okay to have questions, like, how were the vaccines tested? In rigorous clinical trials among adults of diverse backgrounds. Can the vaccines give you COVID-19? You cannot get COVID-19 from a vaccine. Why should I get vaccinated? Protecting yourself also helps protect the people around you. Find the latest information at getvaccineanswers.org.
Hey everybody, it is ShellyShell Williams.
Hi, this is Cynda Williams, and I am so blessed to tell you about a new book on survival called Faith, Failure, Success, Volume 2, Surviving the Storm. Erica Summers, Martha Chavez, Latricia Rice, Nicole Reed, Vania Hudson, and I have come together to share our deepest challenges and how we overcame. Please check it out on Amazon.com and wherever books are sold.
Amazon is hiring near you. Earn a competitive wage and start as soon as 7 days. No resume or experience required. Health and safety are a top priority with all of Amazon's roles and sites. Amazon is taking precautions in their buildings to keep people healthy. Go to amazon.com/apply. That's amazon.com/apply. Amazon is an equal opportunity employer.
WGFB-FM radio.
So are you ready?
How it used to be. Something for everyone. 24/7, 365. It's the PPC Radio Show. Hosted by Cynda Williams. Co-hosted by ShellyShell Williams. Music by DJ Kid Disco. On the Grown Folks Radio. Yo, 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 yo.
You're on mute. Hey,
I'm
we
on
back.
Welcome back to the PPC Radio Show, everybody. So glad you're with us today. Some of you, I haven't heard from you for a while, so it's nice you're back. Paula, of course, we see you. Christopher Oldman, what's up, man? How are you? Let's see. Vaughn told us that the Brooklyn train shooter suspect has been arrested. Good.
Because he came through Chicago, boy. I'm glad to hear that.
My goodness. Headed to St. Louis. Earl says, hi, everybody. Came to hear the best. Thank you, Earl. Hope all is well. Malik Ishmael is also with us. Good afternoon. Brian said he just kind of made I don't know. I'm going to read it. If you're trying to do something completely outside of our nature, we are probably defying the laws of nature, is what I'm taking away from this so far.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those are God's law. I mean, going back to that just for a little bit before we move on, I think that God gave us the ability to fly. You know, he gave us the brains, this magnificent gift of a brain to figure out how the birds fly. And I think that was God. I think God gave us the ability to fly in many ways, and do other things. But do I believe that a person can be healed based on their faith? Absolutely, I do. With a doctor, without a doctor, I believe a person can be healed based on their belief in the fact that they are. I believe that. I've seen that. I've watched that happen. But at the same time, God did give us doctors. So maybe that's the journey we're supposed to take. It depends on the journey we're supposed to take. And anyway, so I want to get into your career and the things that you're doing, because you're doing so many things. And so you're a photographer. You've traveled all over the country and maybe the world and taken wonderful pictures of people. You're also a musician and a singer, and you're doing a lot of great work around Chicagoland. So let's get into that. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Okay, well, I'm going to start off with something I think is very, very awesome. It's fun. It has impacted my spirit and my life. A friend of mine by the name of Joyce Renee Walker, who's a phenomenal keyboard player. She's got a left-handed bass like you wouldn't believe. Her and I teamed up 5 years ago. I had just come out of a musical called Bronzeville. We performed, you probably heard about that. We performed at the Chicago Theater, and that just completely illuminated me. The whole experience. You know, that was the first time in my life that I was a part of a company here in Chicago. 92 people were in that company. And when we made it to Broadway with it as a community group, that's the first time that we know that that's ever been done in Chicago. And we filled that whole Chicago theater with people lined up on State Street, a block. And that showed me that everything is possible. Inside of the room, one of the strictest rules I've seen, we had to be at the auditorium at 9 o'clock in the morning If you weren't there by 9 o'clock, you're not getting in. They'll eliminate your role.
Wow.
So, and we had to stay there until the event didn't start till 7 o'clock at night. So why do we have to do that? Well, because things happen. And we want to make sure everybody's there. We had meetings, we had a conference, we had our dressing rooms, we had everything was, I didn't even know that place was that big. And so that was quite an experience for me. And that was the only time I've ever been on Broadway. So after that, it kind of turned some lights on me. I said, I got to get back in and start singing again. So I met this woman by the name of Joyce Renee Walker. She had just retired from corporate America, and her first love is music, and she'd done that all the way through. We teamed up and we started performing at senior living facilities on the North Shore cities, Evanston, Skokie, Wilmette, Winnetka, Northbrook, Des Plaines. And right now we have 43 homes that we go in every month and perform for 1 hour. Nice. The 1 hour of that performance that we do electrifies me, because you got people who are sitting around waiting for something to do. And then we come in, and from their 70s to, we've had some people over 100. We take them back to Frank Sinatra. We take them back to those standards and those, the songs that they remember. And we actually help their memory, because music goes straight to the soul. And many of them will get up and dance and sing. I've seen people get out of their wheelchairs and walk. I've seen miracles happen in the last 5 years. I can't depart from that. Mm-hmm. That to me is ministry in music live. We also have done many outdoor concerts like the city of Evanston, the city of Chicago, Loyola University. And then we've done some clubs downtown. We've done some restaurants. I love restaurants. High-end restaurants are very, very awesome in terms of, the communication that you can have with people and make them feel good as their food goes down. It helps to build the restaurant's brands as well. So I've had a lot of fun with music. And I was born, in the choir. So born in church, for real. I was born in church. So the church part really kicks in and really is a serious aid to me now that I'm in life and I'm in this kind of reality, because the morality, the standards that we live under, and the way we interact with human beings is really powerful, and it's very good. I've got good communications and good relationships with everybody I deal with in whatever form, whether it's in jazz, if we're doing that genre, if we're doing R&B, standards. It's just a wonderful way to socialize. And other things happen. I look at how you start off like a caterpillar. A caterpillar does not know it's going to become a butterfly. And one of the things that happened to me in the last year was I was performing. If I'm taking too long on this, you stop me, okay?
I will.
Okay. I was performing at a place called Bonefish Grill. They have 300 restaurants in America. Bonefish Grill here in Orland Park. And there was a group of about 12 people that were having dinner. And I didn't know that 3 of them owned a radio station. So when I went over to their table to see how they were doing it, they invited me to their radio station to be a part of it. But I didn't know what that meant. I thought it meant with music. So when I got there, met with them that next week, they asked me at the end, would you consider being a talk show host? The first thing that came to my mind is, what in the world am I going to say on the radio? That's the first thing that came to my mind. The second thing came to my mind is that would put me in a different perspective or light that could be a transition that could make a difference in my life and other people's too. So then I thought another thought. I said, well, if I had a radio show, this is all over the course of the night. If I had a radio show, I could be an active conduit to bring positive content to a place where our people need to get it. I can have doctors, I can have lawyers, I can have politicians, the good ones. I can have people in the music and entertainment field. I can, this could be an enlightening opportunity for me and those millions of people out there. So I thought about that and I accepted it. I said, okay, I'll do it. And that was the 1st of November was my first show. And the first person I had on was Diane Quarter, who the comedian. She was actually on Bernie Mac's level here in Chicago. She should have made it first. She's the first comedian that should have made it. But unfortunately, she was in New York with Chris Rock, and then she had a stroke on the stage performing. That set her back 25 years. So now she's getting back out there and stuff, and it's a blessing. I've had her in for new headshots, and it's a beautiful thing.
So to me, I mean, what I'm hearing in all the things that you do, you have found a way to incorporate that service that you learned about in that church. Everything you do is about, it ultimately sounds like it's about helping people. Because I mean, I remember my mom, you know, the last 7 years of her life, she was in a nursing home. And sometimes the only time you saw her face brighten up is she knew that she could go down to happy hour and listen to the music.
Yes, that's
to
right.
live musicians, because many people that are in those places are forgotten. They're ignored and they're forgotten. And like you said, music it goes directly to the soul, but also goes directly to the brain, and it affects the memory. And that's how we think about it. How do we learn the ABCs with the song? How do we learn so much through music? It works with memory. So do you consciously make decisions based on that, or is it just happen that way?
Consciously make decisions on what?
On serving people. That's why you're doing it.
Yes, I'm very conscious. Music gives me a microphone that allows me a voice. It gives me an opportunity to say something of a story like we're talking right now. It aids me to do that. And when I sing, I talk. I'm like you to a degree, and I admire that in you. You don't just sing and entertain people, but you have something to give, something to say. Sometimes you can say it with a melody, and sometimes you just need to say it without the melody. So I'm engaging. I enjoy the engagement of music and what it brings. The thing that's real to me is you can talk and some people will listen to you, okay? But if you're singing, everybody's going to listen to you. And if you have something to say and you're thinking of a manner in which you can use to convey it, a song usually will be easier than a sermon. Not saying that I'm a preacher, but it was born in me. So I guess I had no other way to turn. I knew that whatever I did in my life, it was going to have to do something with talking. So I guess that's a reaffirmation too.
Shelly, you have something you want to
say? When you were saying all about serving people, it reminded me of Mr. Rogers. Mr. Rogers, his whole thought process was, I want to serve people, and of course, you know, show the positivity in the word of God through what he does in the entertainment field. So that's what made, when you said that, I was like, wow, that's just like Mr. Rogers. Mm-hmm. His story is just like this, incredible.
Here's one thing that people don't realize. They don't think about this because they're not seeing the world from my perspective. I have my own. When I'm singing or talking, I'm also listening. I'm listening to the unspoken words of the person who's listening to me. And when I can't see them, I can feel them. But when I can see them, I also feel them and hear them. And many times people have quiet voices. You can look in their eyes and they're talking to you. I remember when COVID hit us really bad and we were closed out of all of the senior homes, all 43 of them, and the people were dying for music. The first one that called us back was a hospital, Swedish Covenant Hospital, a profound work that they do. They have senior homes, they have hospital, they have hospice care, they got it all. So they called us and we went there. And so that we could perform inside, they built us a plexiglass that was about 10 feet tall and it was 3 of them, it's about 20 feet wide. So I brought my keyboard in and we sat up and we were behind that glass. And we started to perform. And when I got to the end, I was on the last song. I was singing it and the people stood up. They got out of wheelchairs. They got out of their seats and they came up to the plexiglass and put their hands on the plexiglass.
Yeah, it's that energy.
What was the song? What song was it?
Moon River. I was crying singing the song. I don't know how I did. That was my last song. What they showed me without any verbiage is how much they appreciated and loved somebody who came to see about them and gave them something that they needed from their heart.
Yeah, people just don't understand it. You know, I always talk to young folks about that. I'm like, you're young now, but if you're lucky, you're not always gonna be. And so remember that when you're dealing with your elders, because they are often forgotten and alone and mistreated. And so you're gonna be them one day. If you make it that far, you're gonna be them one day. So it's so important to honor them and love them if they're your family or not. But people, they mistreat their own family. Their own family becomes disappears in front of their eyes.
That's very true.
And the thing is, I mean, there's no judgment in that. It's just people get caught up in the day-to-day grind of living, and those that are retired or unwell or in hospice or in hospitals, they get forgotten. Even by those that love them. So I really respond to what you're doing with your music, and applaud you for that. You know, and it's another thing too when it's you're not 15. You know, you're grown as men, right? So you are one of them. There's probably a lot of elders in there for you too. But you're no baby. So, you know, it's.
And I tell them, I do comedy in that hour. It's totally entertaining. I do comedy. I make them laugh. I talk, I sing, I engage them in singing. I've been so shocked by some of the talent that's in there. One time I was singing, a lady had a beautiful, I said, y'all join in, and they were singing the song. It was the 4th of July. And this one lady had a powerful operatic voice, and Caucasian lady, and she was 78 years old. And so what I said, when we dismiss today, I would like for you, the lady like in the green and red, I said, I'd like for you to stay. I want to talk to you. So she stayed. So I said, I've got to ask you this question. I said, you have one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard. I know that you sang professionally. What did you do in your life? She said, that's all I've ever done. She says, I went to the Juilliard School of Music. I was in plays. I was in musicals. I traveled the entire world about 5 times. She said, all I ever did in my life was sing. And I was like, because I went back and was doing duets with her. When I found somebody in the room that was on that page, I put a marker in it. I went back there and I stood her up and we were singing together. It's like, man, there's so many talented people. And I always tell them this. I said, I enjoyed myself so tremendously today. You all will never, never understand how much you meant to me today. And what I want you to do is I want you to talk to your activities director and the president of this organization. And I want you to tell them that I want a condo here so I can perform for you every day. Man, they bust out laughing. They bust out laughing. I just love it. And laughing is so good for the soul. They need something to laugh about. You know, some of them, their children deserted them. And one guy said he wouldn't give his children a pot, you know, or one to throw it out. Donated all their money to Northwestern University, millions of dollars. Them little knucklehead kids, they're not gonna get 1 penny from me. They'll tell you stories. It's like, wow, like amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing. So how did the music fit in with photography? And I understand you're doing the music, you're doing that, but what was it, desire to do photography?
Let me tell you something. I've been doing photography for 32 years. A lot of that photography, I've been on the road, traveling, shooting artists, big ones. When you're in an audience and you're working as the hired contracted photographer for a whole tour, and you come from music, there's no way in the world I could walk them auditoriums and have a camera in my hand and not be singing along in the background or lead. No one hears me. All that music and all that, I'm walking around taking pictures singing. I can't help it, especially when you with Tamala Mann, Vicki Wyman, Jill Scott, Aretha Franklin. Come on, Johnny Gill. How would a church boy like me gonna just take pictures and not have something coming out of me because something's in me? So I always, at breaks, I would put my camera down. I said, boy, I sure wish I was on that stage. I know the songs. I could jump right up there with them and go. So at some point, after having private photo shoots with many people where they came in to do headshots and promotional shots for advertising, marketing, and future concerts is coming up. The companies that I work for would take these images and stuff to build up the coming attractions. I said, man, I gotta do something. So when that play came, that musical, that set me off because I was the photographer for the company.
Wow.
And then also for myself. So I just combined them. I said, well, how would they bump heads and get in each other's way? I only have so much time in my life. I can't create more time. So what I decided to do is I reduced all of my activities to a common denominator called an appointment. So I have an appointment. I have 2 appointments today. I've got an appointment with you. I'm on the radio. I got an appointment at 6. I'm the talk show host. In between, I have a quick photo shoot, and tomorrow I sing. The Bible says I can do all things through Christ, which empowers me. And that means all things. Doesn't mean some and a half. It means all. And it also is a scripture in the Bible that says that your gifts will make room for you. You don't have to make room for your gift. Your gift is going to make room for you. So the gift that God has given me has made room for me. I'm not the pastor of a church. My father told me, he said, son, he says, he could see in the future. He says, my mission was in the church. He said, your assignment is going to be in the world. I've never wanted to pastor a church. They wanted me to take that church so bad in Oakland when my dad retired in 1977. All the congregations could see as me being the pastor. I was in the ministry. I couldn't do it. My ministry is in the world. And trust me, I'm going to get it. I'm taking it with me. I'm not going to leave it at home.
And that activity is keeping you young because you don't look your age. So, and on that note, because we, believe it or not, are to the end of the show, I really want to give you a moment now to tell everybody how they can see your radio or listen to your radio shows, see you perform, whatever it is they need. How can they reach you and where do they find your shows?
They can go to WVTC Radio, Winning Victory Through Christ, WVTCradio.com.
All right.
And they can reach me at the photography studios at area code 312-765-0530. I'm old fashioned with new technology. The other phone is 312-213-1359. They can email me at Don_Barge, that's BARGE, at yahoo.com. Okay. They can also reach me at one more, DB Photography 312 gmail.com.
All right, everybody, you got it. If you guys need some photography, he's amazing. If you want to hear his band, he's amazing. If you want to listen to his show, check it out. Thank you so much, Donald Barge, for
one more.
Mm-hmm.
One more. If they want to sample just a little bit of our music, they could go to Elegance Ensemble on YouTube.
Okay.
Go to YouTube and just punch in Elegance Ensemble. ELEGANCEEENSEMBLE.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Donald. Thank you, everybody that's listening. Shelly, you got anything you want to mention right quick? Because we are at the hour.
Yeah, we're at the hour. I think everybody should go listen to the podcast because he didn't get the chance to mention that he's been married for like 100 years. Just in not in my years, it looked like 100, but I know it's like over 30 something years. So go listen to the podcast to see what how you can communicate through transportation, something like that. That's what he said.
Yeah. It's a good podcast. You should definitely. We didn't even touch on a tiny bit from the podcast. So there's so much more there. Definitely check it out. Thank you. You can always find Shelly on ShellyShell Williams on Instagram and everywhere else. DJ Kid Disco, and you can hear. I have a new podcast this week called Carla Curtis, who's an author and a therapist, and very interesting life. And so please check out that podcast this Friday at noon Eastern on Anchor, Spotify, Apple, and a whole bunch of other stuff. So thank you guys for everything. Thank you for joining us today. God bless you all. Until next time, that's a wrap.
Okay. See you soon, Cynda.